On up and join me. I will get you your microphone. Go ahead and have a seat. Welcome.
Thank you.
And the passage that I just read was another example. We won't get into this yet, but I want you to feel how awkward that felt for Sarah there in the tent. But we'll get to that in a moment, more awkwardness. Some people, well, many people here know you already, Rolf, but just in case there are folk who don't know you, a little background. Where'd you come from? What'd you do? Tell us about your family.
Okay. It came from Brampton. Our family there attended North Bramley United Church in Brampton, and my wife Donna and I, we had three daughters. There's a picture of them up there, and some grandchildren and son-in-laws. In any case, after Donna passed away, and the girls were here in London, and the grandchildren were in London, it was like that was a natural thing for me to do, is to move here to this area, and did a little bit of church shopping, and ended up here at Strathroy United Church. People were very friendly. There was no entry charge, and
Yet.
It's
coming.
That's a bit awkward. Yes, so in any case, that's how we ended up here. I worked in the agri-food business for about 40 years in oilseed processing, from crushing canola and soybeans right through to making salad dressings and margarines and all those things that contribute to your cholesterol, and you're welcome.
You didn't waste any time getting involved here at Strathroy United Church. The men's breakfast is something that you initiated. You recently joined the community life team, and let me pull up a slide there. I want to talk a bit about what Community Life Team does. You'll have heard repeatedly that there's 5 ministries that the Christian church has: worship and learning, teaching, care for one another, outreach, serving the world. And then there's this one that we in the United Church of Canada are perhaps feel a little awkward with, and that is sharing our spirituality. And just to catch you up, we have 2 main ministry organizing groups. Congregational Life Team, they oversee the worship and the learning part. And Community Life Team, the team that you joined recently, they oversee ministries of caring for one another, that fellowship ministry, outreach ministries, and this thing called sharing our spirituality. So this gets us to the why of why we're having this conversation. At the Community Life Team meeting, the conversation comes around to these 3 ministry areas. And you had an experience in your previous congregation about ways of sharing our faith, or being the good news in the world. I'm wondering if you could just sort of backtrack for us as though we are the Community Life Team, and share what you shared with the team back then.
So getting back to North Bramley United Church and the strategy. So I got in touch with, so this had to do with these cards, and I think you folks, pretty well everybody's got one of these cards right now. And we had called them unsung hero cards. So I got in touch with Jamie Holtum, the minister at North Bramley United Church, and I said, Jamie, how did these come about again? How did we get to that? Because my memory is a little bit poor. And he reminded me that there was a sermon series on unsung heroes of the Bible. You know, not the Moses and the Josephs and the Davids and so on. But there's all sorts of folks that are in there that are important. And this series was about those unsung heroes. And in the course of those sermons, we also talked about the unsung heroes that were just part of the congregation. The teachers and the nurses and the mechanics and the folks working at the fast food places, and they're all around us. And there was this realization that there's folks around us that do these wonderful things every day, and we don't necessarily recognize that. And we understood, and it was easy for us to recognize each other, sitting at church on Sunday, because we knew each other, and we could easily go up to somebody that we knew and say, hey,
recognize
them, and say you're wonderful for doing whatever. But then it came to the point, well, how do we take this out on a Monday and a Wednesday and a Friday? How do we do that? And that's where this idea of the unsung, or in this case, and I love this name, Everyday Hero cards came about. And it was, well, how do we do this? Because normally I'm not someone that'll walk up to somebody and say, by the way, great job, or I really appreciate what you're doing.
Because that feels awkward.
It definitely feels awkward. So the cards helped in that. You had a card in your hand, and it didn't take too much to just, hand it to somebody. Just, a simple sentence of, thank you for serving me today, and for standing on your feet for 8 hours pouring coffee, which I could never do. I'd be fired in about 15 minutes.
You said in your conversation with Jamie in Brampton that this served as a way of overcoming that awkwardness. You give it to someone you are.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was like a license to be awkward, is really what it was. It made it that much easier. Where you would hesitate, you could recognize, and we all see people all the time. You go, oh, they're going through a difficult time, or they're doing a wonderful job, or I really appreciate what you're doing. But we hesitate to go up and talk to the person about it. We don't want to engage in a conversation, my goodness.
Yeah. Like around here, the children are the license to be awkward.
Absolutely, yes.
It was a couple weeks ago that we had those Uno cards, and the children gave them out to people. And everyone I spoke to afterwards, they really appreciated that the kids did that. But I know that if I didn't do that in the children's time, and I just gave those Uno cards to the adults, and I said, now I want you to write something on them and go up and make someone's day, you're like, no way, that's too awkward. So it's like becoming the child again is like a license to be awkward.
I know. As we grow older, we become less and less sure of ourselves, or we don't want to talk to people. And trust me, being awkward in Strathroy is nothing compared to being awkward in Brampton. I mean, you just don't talk to anybody there. I mean, or in a big city. Here folks are a lot friendlier and more welcoming.
Though I find ways to be awkward all the time. So here's North Bramalea United Church, and you had the conversation with the minister there about how it came about for this card to be developed, how it creates some safety from that awkwardness. Can you remember back when you first had one of the cards, or what it was like for you to overcome that awkwardness?
I can. I have a couple of examples, but I'll tell you the truth. It took me a while to remember back. There were two individuals I can remember. One is a woman named NJ, and
is that in the grocery store?
No, she was at the church. It gets me choked up just thinking about it. Anyway, NJ and her husband had emigrated, and I can't remember. Meredith went to that church too, and I think it was Nigeria. In any case, they had come to Canada. They came with 3 boys, and her husband passed away suddenly from a heart attack. Young family. And I remember giving the card to NJ because it was such a challenging time for her. And yet still she was able to, every Sunday, get the boys together, and that could be a challenge in itself, I'm sure, and come to church. So that was one of the cards. And then the other one I gave to my mechanic, Graham. Graham was a great guy. He was very welcoming, and Meredith's nodding her head because she remembers him as well. And just gave it to him because he always did a great job, and besides which I got a 10% discount because I was going to the church, so that worked. So that was worth the card. But the thing that I really remember in all of this is the people, how they love to get the card. It brought a smile to everybody's face. And it's something that everybody likes to do. You like to bring a smile to somebody's face. Now, if you can do it and not have to talk to them, that's even better.
So you get to see the look on people's faces. You get to see maybe somebody who's feeling rushed and overwhelmed because they're pulling kids together, or they had to deal with the frustrating customer, and you overcome that awkwardness, give them a bit of a blessing, yes, and it makes a difference in their lives.
Right.
What was it like for you doing it?
Well, that's actually the bigger piece of it, is the fact that it was easier for me to be less awkward. The more often you do it, first of all, it opens your eyes to all those folks around you. And you remember, and it reminds you that there's people that are doing things that we normally take for granted. So that was one. It opened my eyes. The other part was it opened my heart to realizing that there are people that need to be appreciated, that people like to be appreciated, that I can make a difference in somebody's life in a very simple act. It was just by giving them the card. And we've put on the back of the cards here, you know, you're welcome to pass them along. But I think a lot of the people, they may hang on to it. Maybe it's on their dresser, or it's on the dashboard in their car, and they'll look at it and go, yeah, somebody recognized me, somebody cared about me, somebody saw what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And it opens it up for them as well.
So in the same way that having a license to drive allows you, yes, to get in a car and go somewhere, having a license to be awkward for you, as you described it, had you noticed things you didn't notice before, and in noticing it, you opened your heart to feeling something for someone who otherwise would have been a complete stranger. So it made a difference for you.
Absolutely made a difference for me, yeah. Yeah.
So the next thing I want to talk about is, okay, you talked about doing it at church and with your mechanic. Help us to imagine where you might do this.
Well, I can give you some example. Well, first of all, everybody has a card, right? And there may be people here just at church that you say I might want to recognize. There's a fellow sitting right behind me here who's an incredible musician who I listen to every Sunday. Thank you, Andy. Who does a wonderful job and plays multiple instruments and provides the music here that I would normally take for granted. There's people in the congregation that maybe we know that they're going through a challenging time. Maybe they've lost a loved one recently. Maybe they've done something wonderful for you. Maybe it's somebody new at the church that, you know, maybe it's a bit awkward for them to show up to as a place that they haven't been before. You know, in that way, they're an everyday hero as well, because maybe it took a bit of effort to show up to church. There's all sorts of reasons, and when we think of outside in the community, well, obviously somebody that's serving you at Tim Hortons, it would be somebody. But what about those folks that are migrant farm workers that we might see in a grocery store, who are away from their family for months and months and trying to do something to improve their family, or refugees that we know that are here from Ukraine or from Syria? What about neighbors? There's people that may not be in our community, but that we know of. Well, we could write them a letter and put the card in there.
Every week, David's up there behind the camera.
Absolutely.
Doing something. And so this is how
Tina and Tony.
How to give David a card. I put it on the screen right there. So now it's right in front of his face on the computer screen. But also for the people at home who are thinking, what's on that card that is so small? But that's, for the folk at home, this is what we're talking about. You're going to be hanging around after church, right? Where can people find you to talk more about this?
Be down in the Golden Jubilee room, loading up on caffeine. But before I go any further, I just want to recognize the people on the Community Life Committee, which I'm fortunate to be a member of. So maybe if you could just stand and be recognized. Just, Nancy, you have to stand up, community leader. I know there's other people, and Rick and Denise.
Awkward? Are you feeling awkward?
Are you feeling awkward? Awesome.
Yeah.
We left that.
You have a license.
But thank you very much.
So just to tie up some loose ends here, the card is an opportunity for us to find a bridge between what we experience here and a simple way of being the good news in the life of somebody out in the community, a way that can maybe help to overcome a bit of the awkwardness. And it is something that not only will make a difference for others, but the great thing about being the good news is your heart has to be transformed.
Yes.
And will be transformed as you do it. And so I encourage people, if you are interested in getting some more cards, maybe you'll have used your card by the time you leave here this morning. There are some envelopes that people can take with a set of them. Rolf, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the Community Life team, thank you and the team for imagining something that we can do that bridges between what happens on Sunday morning and what happens out during the week. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. It was easy.